6 p.m. We'll call the regular planning commission meeting to order. All members present except for Dan Vanoss at this time. Public comment on agenda items. None. Move on to the minutes of May 1st. Sorry, I've got allergies really bad, so.
All right. Do you need a towel?
This is running like a faucet.
Sucks.
No motion on
I
the
make a motion to accept as written.
1 second.
motion by Belter, second by Flair. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say no.
Motion by Walner.
Walner.
Where did it go?
Oh, thank you. Sorry about that. I heard from that side of the table. Motion from Walner, second from Flair. All in favor says yes, motion passed. 4A, I'm gonna request that we table. There's some issues with, as Bob has informed us, with some easements that need to be resolved before we bring it back to the planning commission. So make a motion to table 4A until further information can be obtained.
Okay.
Motion by Seacard, second by Belter.
Combine all the names.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Next item is 4B, discussion and possible recommendation and review of updated conditional use permit request in zone C3 zoning district for a conditional use permit to allow a 40-unit elderly housing facility. Applicant Paul Gerard Developments LLC. Members want to take a memo to read the first part of the memo to the planning commission. There's some issues.
I think I had a good conversation with Paul, and I think we got through a lot of the concerns that I've heard, and he's joined us via Zoom, so and Brad as well. Hi, Brad.
I just had a question, Bob, which issues were you dealing with on, with their requests?
Just that district is a professional office district,
Right,
and since office space is virtually non-existent really anymore, we're one of the last communities to pass an ordinance to allow residential.
so just on our ordinance, this is what you were,
Yeah, so residential dwelling can occur in that district through a conditional use permit. So essentially, the planning commission holds the ability and power to say, we want your building to have these, aesthetic look to it. So what Paul did provide was conceptual. It wasn't the product. So he can touch on that a little bit, but it was very helpful for me to talk to him. That's really all I have on that.
okay,
I looked through the concepts, they looked fine.
I recall this was a conditional use permit passed many years ago, correct? Or was it?
No, it was recently.
It's recent.
It's like last 6 months. I
It
think.
was.
Okay.
She said.
Yep.
No, as I say, like the original plans for that property was what was described
Yeah.
many years ago. That's why
Yep, so that district had very strict building covenants, so it was mandatory to have a brick mortar. It did not allow for cement siding or anything to detract from the appearance of the other buildings. We did loosen that up after the 08 housing crash. And we did allow some cement board siding. I don't know if you're familiar with some of the buildings up there, but Food Shelf and the engineering company, they do have non-brick and mortar. And
There's still a consistent look. though.
yes, so the thing that we want to just make sure is we don't take away from the appearance of that district and say, well, geez, this is strange.
Like it doesn't belong there.
Yeah,
like it's out of
right.
place.
And we essentially want to stay away from that looking like a twin home development. And, you know, Paul did a really good job, talking with me today about, you know, what he can do to make those buildings look like they belong. And he made a very good point, about that being that 3-story, and the reason we got away from that is the market's not the greatest for it. And if anyone's been in Nourishment, and not to criticize Nourishment, but their library,
Yeah.
you drive in there and you go, whoa,
It's massive.
wow, it looks out of place.
Mhm.
So he makes a very valid point that that might very much do the same and kind of look out of place, so. And if you want to give Paul the floor,
Yeah. Turn over to Paul to. Thank you, Paul, for joining us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the Planning Commission. Because you're so new and because you've probably never seen or heard of me, I'm just going to give you a quick little introduction of us, our company, what we do, how we do, why we do. But we were formed in 1954 by my late father. We're celebrating 71 years of real estate practice. And we include many areas of development, which includes development consulting, including representation of nonprofits, construction management, real estate brokerage, and yes, real estate management. We currently are in many states: Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, South Dakota, Wyoming, Montana, and Florida. So the project that we're talking about right now, we received land control back in October of 2024 from 2 separate entities, which was included in the packet. Mr. Germain is one of them, and it's slipping my.
So, yeah.
So,
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. So the project was tied up back in October of 24. I wanted to come to you to just understand if this was something that you'd support or not. The prior commission did support the project. So essentially, what we received was an application, which is a two-step process, quite a long process, but it is a 40-unit senior project that will serve 1 and 2 bedroom seniors. We will serve individuals from incomes of $28,000 all the way up to $90,000, depending upon what income level they are. And the project will be specifically set aside for 55 or better. So there is a restriction. There will not be young adults living at this facility. And the types of individuals we'll have there is we'll be serving disabled individuals, we'll be serving disabled American veterans, and those types of individuals. So we do have memorandums of understanding with the local Veterans Administration. So, but back in June of 2024, June 3rd to be exact, we received an allocation from the Wisconsin Housing and Economic Development Authority, which provided $840,000 in annual tax credits, which will help drive this project. Also along the way, we engaged a market study provider that goes all the way back to October of 24. And the market study provider at that time said, Paul, you shouldn't be building a mid-rise building. You should be building a single-story building that simulates more of a home, because that's where your renters are going to come from. So essentially, the design of this project is going to be barrier-free. We will have attached garages, and it will really simulate your home that these individuals are selling. And I always like to tell councils and planning commission meetings, this project, if you so desire to move forward, and I hope you do, it will be more than our project. You will be the person that's selling their home within an established neighborhood will sell their home. The new assessment will start. A younger family can move into that home because those homes are geared towards individuals that want larger sized homes. And some of the things that I told Robert today along the way would be, obviously, we're showing a one-story building. Your commission, if you desire or so decide, could also pick out colors of the brick, mandating the amount of brick, the landscaping, the lighting, the look of this project, so that it coincides with the neighborhood. Because what we don't want to do there is create something that people are not happy with. So we're thinking that with the inclusion of some brick, maybe you might not like the look of the roof lines. We can change that. We could even change colors of the brick in each building. Those are some of the things that I was talking to Robert about today. But then along the way, we're also taking into consideration other items within this project. These will be barrier-free. The materials that we will use, we're very conscientious because of the demographic that we're serving with allergies, mold, and respiratory problems. We have gone to an apartment unit that has no carpeting in it. It doesn't have any cloth blinds. So we've tried to keep it as clean as possible for individuals. So now to answer the toughest question is, yes, this project that you guys completed and did, I think back in 2008, it was in a commercial zoned area. But because of what's happened with COVID, and because of, you've seen it across the country, there are commercial buildings that can't fill. And those buildings are starting to be retrofitted to apartments. You have an apartment need that our market study provided. And I'm happy to provide each and every one of you a link to that market study. So we're finding that older generations, even if they're 55, they're still working. And guess what? They're starting to work from home. So we're starting to provide workspaces within these units for seniors to be able to work from home. So I just kind of gave you a few little details, and then I'll mention the last one. We are an extremely green builder. This project will have lots of green components to it. I don't know, I have not researched your ordinances to see if you've passed ordinances that go into green energy and mandating developments that move forward with green energy, but we will have a very sophisticated heating and cooling system. We will also provide solar. We will also use products like reclaimed wood, like here's an example, a finger jointed 2x6 stud. So things of that nature. But I've asked Brad Corkbine, who is the project architect, to be included in this email to see if there are things that I know that I didn't pitch you in my delivery, that he can pick up on. And our rent structure is such that we will be 700 to 1,400, and that includes everything. That is, so the tenants have no sewer, no water bill, no gas, no electric, no internet bill, no garbage bill. All of that will be maintained on site, and we will, by putting in these green components, we're able to achieve that. I mean, we have you mentioned the project in New Richmond. We built 2 projects in that town, one for seniors, one for families, and we're heating and cooling units for $21 a unit. Think of that. I mean, think of that for the next generation. If you don't mind thinking of how you can save energy for the next generation and saving the planet. So I'm going to just stop to see if anyone has any questions for me. Otherwise, I'll turn it over to Brad Corkbine.
Any questions?
Go ahead, Brad.
Oh, go ahead, Dave. Okay, go ahead.
So you mentioned that, young families as part of this development, or are you looking at other developments? This is strictly 55 and older, right?
Correct.
Yeah, this is a 55 or better community. We are actually looking at your town again to serve a family project, but I've got a couple of pieces of land, but I'm trying to get this one off the ground first. And so just to give you a little timing perspective, we wouldn't break ground until, I would say the middle of July of 26. So that's how much time we have to kind of get our ducks in a row, so to speak, get the project closed. So now that we've won our first award, I'm off to the races on trying to win additional awards for funding. So sorry, Brad.
No worries.
Anyone
Okay.
else? Brad, go ahead.
Yeah, and I guess the things that I wanted to mention were just items that I heard some of the committee members mentioning along the way about the brick and the exterior facade. Those are things that are all we have incorporated a lot of the brick into the buildings already based on the comments that we heard. And my biggest things are addressing the back space, making sure that we're meeting the setbacks and that doesn't create issues for the committee or the council.
Yeah, and we chose this site because it was close to shopping. I mean, there's the post office there, the library is close, the shopping is there, the senior center, the clinic, all of those are very elderly friendly. And we also want to be able to utilize the trail you guys put in, or the village put in. So by doing what we want to do here in a CUP, it provides your board and your authority to have a little bit more authority on what we do in colors and in landscaping and lighting. And we roof lines, just like I talked about, we can incorporate a lot of that based upon your decisions. So Bob, I'll be quiet now. Okay.
You're good.
All right.
Second.
So, Mr. Speaker, what we're hoping that you will do here is talk amongst yourself, I mean, openly and honestly here, and hoping that we can then present this product to the council for an approval, because Brad is holding up on designs until after, that your board decides on what you want to do.
So I think the important thing to remember is the planning commission does get to weigh in on the overall product. You can't just put the building up and say, here you go.
We're
So,
styling it.
yes, yeah, so,
Landscape too.
landscaping, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, the rear setback that we mentioned, or excuse me, Brad mentioned, abuts our regional storm pond. So there's not a big concern there. The front setback, would be the piece where I would say encroach a little bit more on that rear setback and free up that front setback as much as possible, because a lot of the buildings are pushed back anyways. But again, planning commission gets to decide on that site layout, they get to decide on the color palettes and the overall architecture of those buildings that are going in, so you hold a lot of control.
I can see conceptual approval, but it's those details that we're coming back to, if we bring it forward to the board for approval, it's approved. But yet we would still need to review those items.
It'd be nice to have that resolved before it goes before the board, full board.
So
I'm curious, go ahead.
could we make a suggestion that you would recommend this to the council conditioned upon this commission reviewing and approving the site plan, the colors, the setbacks, everything, because we got to kind of know if we're not going to move forward. I mean, we want to draw buildings, but we don't want to draw those until we have, because I'm confident we'll be able to provide you with everything and anything you want.
I guess I'll speak to the fact, yes, we want these types of facilities in our community. We want these facilities to serve our 55 and older community. So from that checkbox, yes, yay, we move forward. But we're again, I think we can probably move forward tonight in making that conditional approval. Between now and then, we can work it out with the attorneys to make sure that between now and the village board meeting that is, appropriate. If it's not, we're just back here next month anyways, working on those conditions and then bring it forward hopefully next month to the board in a total package.
Mr. Speaker, I think that you're speaking to the board, but perhaps I'm going to weigh in again.
Go ahead. No,
So
it's a little bit of a lag with Zoom here, I understand, so.
Okay, I'm sorry. And you're actually not looking at me anymore. Before you were looking at me. So,
I'm looking at the screen where I see you.
okay, all right. So because we've done this a lot and because we're seasoned, perhaps what you could do is provide a deferment, so to speak, so that we can provide to you, other, like a list of
I'm all for that. I'm just saying between now and then, we'd have a quick attorney review to make sure that we're on course. And if there's a major red flag on the play, then we would, come back here next month either way to work on those details. But if we can conditionally approve it as you suggest, and we have done conditional approvals like this before.
Okay.
So, I'm not afraid of that. It's just, I want to make sure that we are accurate given the different conditional uses of this professional office zoning and the conditional use permit to make sure that we're, if we're granting you a new conditional use permit, at the regular June board meeting, that doesn't complicate anything with this committee's approval authority. That's all. It's more of a procedural thing.
Sure.
I don't anticipate a problem, but I just want to be upfront and honest that, if the attorney throws a red flag, we would be back here next month regardless, talking about your, the details anyways. So,
Okay.
I'm okay with us considering bringing it forward with the conditional approval, conditions that, the planning commission has a chance to review the final site plan, reviews the, the building design, color schemes, etc. Those types of things. I'm okay with that. It's just, I just want to be upfront with you that we want our attorney to weigh in, just to make sure that we're not jumping the gun too far.
Absolutely. And that suits our fancy, so to speak. All right.
I'll just go back and kind of go over this again. So the plan commission will have the ability, this is not the last time they're gonna be at the plan commission. They're gonna come back with a design, or a series of designs. The plan commission gets to weigh in and say, yeah, we like this one, but we don't quite like the color.
Right.
Or we
But their
like the
planners
color,
are-
but we don't like the roof line.
Their
So,
planners are gonna present
yes.
a plan that
And
we, yea or nay.
Yeah, bring that back,
Right.
tweak that, and
Yeah.
then the site is another one. Well, we don't want arborvitae's because it looks like a cemetery. We
Okay.
want these different things, and we wanna see, irrigation. We
That sounds
really
like a
want
great plan.
irrigation,
Yeah.
so the grass is green and those types of things. So it's not gonna get out of the hands of the plan commission to a product that, he's gonna bamboozle us, sneak something in through the night, and so you get to, have the luxury of saying, no, this is more in line of what we wanna see, and recommend those to the village board in a bunch of series. Much like our home developers, they'll bring small pieces to the plan commission for our approvals, and then finally the final.
Similar like a plan unit development, it's in
Yeah.
some aspects where,
Similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of details that the commission gets to go through, and again, has the final say on how that's gonna look.
Is there a time frame that they're looking to get this rolling or done?
Yep, so
Yeah.
next
July.
summer, they'd like
I knew the
to,
groundbreaking, but is there?
so there's a lot to work through on, due diligence on their end. Site planning, getting things to fit in that lot. There might be a variance coming for the rear setback, and, a lot of things to work through.
but the big change is getting the village board's approval on the conditional use permit change, which allows them to continue to plan down that route. If they don't get approval of the conditional use permit change, then they're kind of stuck nowhere. And if I were in their shoes, I wouldn't be willing to make any commitments on their due diligence part until that, part is completed. So I understand where they're coming from. I just try to make sure that we do it in the proper
I
method.
think we've discussed this plenty. Are we ready to make a?
I'm open for a motion.
Excellent. I recommend we make a conditional use, or we move for a conditional use permit to allow the 40-unit elderly housing facility to move forward.
You're 55 yet. Calling an elder.
Elderly, I'm like, come on, I'm almost 55.
I'm
Come
reading.
on.
I'm reading.
I'm 65.
I'm reading, but
Is
yeah.
there a
actually,
second?
Yeah.
Yes, I'll second it, but for 55 and older, not
Yes.
elderly.
Those young 55-year-old.
A motion and a second to approve recommending changing to the conditional use permit to the village board. Is there any other comments or questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion passes. We'll recommend it to the village board for approval at our June board meeting, and then when at the appropriate time, expect you to come back and bring those choices for us to review.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, just a point of clarification, Bob, will we need to present to council?
It's up to the chair.
This will go, traditionally, with planning commission approval, this goes on the consent agenda,
Okay,
which would approve in mass, but any board member, for whatever reason, can pull something from the consent agenda. I just want to be upfront with you.
Yep.
Whether they do or don't, I obviously can't say at this time, but traditionally, very few items are pulled from the consent agenda once they've come from a committee with approval.
This has been moving forward very well so far.
Yeah.
And there's no reason it wouldn't.
Yeah, it's a change in the CUP that is irregular. Let's put it that way. That's the irregular part.
Sure.
And as long as the commission is on board with that, then I think the full council is on board with it as well.
Right.
That's what I want to clarify, is why is this an issue? We don't take changing CUPs lightly.
Well, I get it. We're good.
Yeah.
Do we have to wait until the July?
June,
Can we do it in June?
I meant, if I said July, I meant June.
Okay, hopefully it's on the June agenda for
Yes,
the
yes,
board. Okay.
yeah. If I said July, I meant June.
Okay.
June.
June.
We're spinning wheels.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
All right, well, thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. The only thing we have left to discuss is when to hold a July meeting. So thank you for joining us via Zoom tonight, and you have a good evening.
Thank you.
all right, thank you very much.
Do we have a good July date planned already?
How about the following Thursday?
Done.
Yeah.
Unless there's a different suggestion.
That would be the 10th?
Yeah.
Does that conflict with any other meetings on the books? No,
No.
it's Thursday. Okay, that's fine for me.
Make a motion, we move it if we got it. If not, let's just do that.
Well, yeah, no motion necessary.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are done. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good evening. Enjoy Peace Soup Days weekend. I will be very rigorously judging the parade floats